Trump and Musk on the alleged Chinese team list was unexpected. What's the claim about Musk specifically?
The source makes a pretty bold claim that Musk is essentially a front man for Xi Jinping, and that companies like Tesla and Starlink are effectively Chinese controlled, allegedly. Their success attributed not just to Musk, but heavily to this supposed Chinese backing. This alleged Chinese team list is pretty long too, around 175 entities.
Okay, after the Chinese team.
Then comes the alleged Russian group, reportedly led by Vladimir Putin, who the source calls the second most powerful and dangerous figure globally, right after Xi Jinping.
And who's listed under Putin?
Some interesting names. Ron Sargent, the former CEO of Kroger, is apparently number 2 in this specific Russian group list. Governors of the U.S. Federal Reserve are mentioned. Also the CEO of a company called Liana Technologies, Tursus, whose firm allegedly produces fake news for manipulation campaigns. And the source notes some people, like it don't like, will supposedly show up on multiple lists, like the Egyptian and Russian teams. This alleged Russian group is even bigger, around 411 entities listed.
Wow, so the document just keeps going through many other people.
Okay. Emirates, Iran again, Venezuela, Cuba, Germany, India, Vatican, France, Egypt, Dominican Republic, North Korea, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Argentina, El Salvador, EU political leaders, in general, Latin American people. It's extensive.
And within all these lists, there are specific examples mentioned.
Most of them. Some are really specific and maybe jarring, like naming alleged agents in Katy, Texas, Mohammed Faraz Ahmed, Amir Raisa, Luis Martinez, Ronald Padilla, people supposedly operating locally.
Right, and alleged liability linked to what big company.
Yeah, mentions individuals who work in places like Netscape, Mohammed Pharmaceuticals, or Goldman Sachs, James Strain, Hero Liquor, eBay founders. Yeah, listed about the Iranian and French teams allegedly paired somehow with the French NSA.
Okay, any other companies there?
Akamai Technology, Labor Play, Citrix, or Green Parent LLC, all mentioned as allegedly dangerous in some capacity. It gets very detailed about alleged Venezuelan relations too. Diosdadoxi, the alleged advisor to ISIS, Al-Assad's alleged role as ambassador to Iran. The author called this bizarre diplomacy.
Bizarre. And more local cities mentioned.
Yeah, he mentions a Mark Swisher, owner of Ambassador Petroleum, allegedly living near the author in Katy. Sarah Swisher, linked to a maritime military equipment company. Mayor Malton, supposedly felon money man, operating out of Silicon Valley.
That's incredibly detailed.
It is. Ronald Padilla is ranked high because of alleged liability in the U.S. Alberto Molina, the source, alleges his sister dated the author's uncle purely as a tactical info. Barrett named he mentioned a lost Eli Klein, a lawyer allegedly involved in the kidnapping of the author's son. It's a lot.
Definitely a lot. And you mentioned something about the Cuban team structure.
Yeah, an interesting claim there. That the structure allegedly pairs Cuban political figures with U.S. billionaires who act as frontmen for their interests. The source uses Jeff Bezos and Amazon as a specific example, alleges a link back to Castro's interests, based on a claim about Bezos' parents having Cuban origins.
And across all these leaders, is there a pattern the source points out?
One thing he highlights is how long many of these top political figures across different teams have been in power. Often a decade, sometimes much longer, and some, he alleges, are actively trying to get rid of term limits, looking to stay in charge for 20, 30, maybe 40 years or more. Suggests, if true, very long-term strategic thinking.
Any other specific names that stood out?
He called out Michael Shepard and Hewlett Packard of Google, linking them to the spinal.org documentation. Flagged them as important to investigate due to alleged liability for what might be for them.
And the Indian team?
Allegedly led by PM Modi, with prominent U.S. tech CEOs like Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai listed as allegedly working for him. The author claims to have personally worked with some individuals he lists in this section.
Okay, and one more organization mentioned. Smartmatic.
Yeah, described as particularly dangerous. The source alleges it's involved in faking election results around the world, manipulating outcomes, effectively selecting governments. Very serious allegations.
And throughout all this, the author's stated goal is?
He keeps coming back to it.